Hi again guys, and welcome to episode 4 of Spirit of Le Mans, the series where I'm evaluating each major Le Mans prototype on GT6 and telling you what its main good and bad points are. So as you can see, this episode is featuring the 1999 BMW V12 LMR, which incidentally actually won the Le Mans in 1999. This car has quite a unique appearance, even among Le Mans cars. It has a very short wheelbase, a very flat top section, and just a very unique all-round look, even compared to other open-top prototypes. So, without any further chit-chat, let's go straight to the track for the evaluation. So first of all, here we are on our city test course, which is Monaco. Now, as we've said before, the most important points on a track like this are your low-end handling, low-end acceleration, and obviously your brakes. So how is this BMW for those attributes? Well, for low-end handling, I'm going to give it a 5. It handles really, really well, and despite being very powerful when fully tuned, not as powerful as some of the other prototypes, but still very powerful, it handles that power really, really well. In fact, it handles a bit more like a formula car than an endurance prototype, which, you know, it's great for city tracks. For acceleration, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, because it's definitely not slow, but it's not quite as quick as some of the others. So it's still got a strong 4, but it's not quite perfect. For brakes, I'm also going to give it a 4, because they are very, very good. Again, not perfect, but they are more than adequate for this car. They don't get a maximum 5 out of 5 just because there are some other prototypes which are better. Otherwise, I would have given it a 5. So overall, for city tracks, I'm going to give it a rating of 5 out of 5. It is a brilliant city track racing car. So that's it for our city test track at Monaco. So now let's go over to our moderate speed technical track at Ascari. So as I've said before, on tracks that are more moderate speed, say 70 or 80 mile per hour corners, like Ascari, what comes more into play is that mid-range acceleration, obviously your mid-range handling, brakes as always, but we've already discussed brakes, so it's primarily the mid-range acceleration and the mid-range handling, and also the overall drivability that comes into play more on a track like this. So how does this car perform in that regard? Well, for mid-range handling, again, I'm going to give it a maximum 5 out of 5. So it's got a 5 out of 5 on low-speed handling and a 5 out of 5 on mid-range handling. And it does handle really, really well. Despite having well over 900 horsepower, almost 1,000 fully tuned, it handles its power brilliantly. It's very easy to drive. You pick up the style of driving with this car very quickly. It will serve you extremely well, and it's a shame really that so many people don't realise just how good this car is. Then again, maybe it's a good thing. So on technical tracks, overall, again, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 because it is a brilliant car. If you haven't tried one yet, I would highly recommend it. So for drivability, we're going to discuss drivability more a bit later on, but so far for drivability, again, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It is extremely good. It's easy to drive, very fast, and it will serve you very, very well. So that's it for our moderate test track on Ascari. So now let's finally go over to Spa for our high-speed test. So here we are on our final test of the 3 here at Spa, and obviously the things that come into play the most on a track like this are your very, very high speed handling, mid-range handling as well, but often high speed handling on many of the corners, your top end acceleration and also top speed obviously, and obviously, as with any track, your overall drivability. Now we've already talked about the drivability. It's a really great car, 5 out of 5. So what about for high speed handling and for that top end potential? Well, for top end, unfortunately, I'm only going to give it a 4 out of 5. So it's the same as acceleration, 4 out of 5 on acceleration, 4 out of 5 on top speed. And the reason why I say that is because it's not bad, it's just not quite as quick as some of the others, for top-end acceleration and top speed, because, like I said towards the start of the video, it does have a bit less power than many of the other prototypes. So it's not bad, it's just not perfect for those things. However, its high-speed handling, in line with what I said about its mid-range and low-end, again, I'm going to give it a strong 5 out of 5 for top-end handling, because it is a brilliant handling car. If you haven't tried driving this car, I would strongly recommend that you do so. It is brilliant handling on any track, or any track that I've ever driven it on anyway. So, we mentioned drivability before, gave it a 5 out of 5, and that's no different on this track. It's a great car, it handles pretty much any track you throw at it very, very well, and overall, yeah, it's a great car. So that's pretty much all we've got to say about it in actual testing, so let's now go back to the garage for a roundup. So in summary then, the V12 LMR is a brilliant Le Mans prototype. Now that said, I don't use it as often as some of the other prototypes, but that's not because it's not a good car, it's just because I prefer to give myself a bit more of a challenge, which is why I tend to use cars more like the Panhars or the R390 or the TS30 because it has less power. But if you're looking for a car that will serve you well, that will get you a victory and that will set a good lap time on pretty much any track that you put it up against, the V12 LMR is definitely the car for you. It offers a completely different driving style to any of the other prototypes, mainly due to its proportions, extremely low, quite a short wheelbase, and quite a simple design really, not very many aerodynamic appendages, as many of the other Le Mans cars have. So overall, its strongest point I would say is its sheer drivability. It's such an easy car just to jump into and just go fast. It almost feels like it's doing the work for you, but in a good way, in a way that you can actually focus on your lap rather than trying to wrestle with the car, as can sometimes happen with some of the prototypes. As far as its weakest point, well, it doesn't really have one. But if I had to say, I'd probably say it's top-end performance, because although it is fast, it does feel a little bit sluggish top-end compared to some of the other prototypes. It does have, as we mentioned earlier, a bit less power, a bit less torque, and that does equate into less top-end acceleration and top speed. But it's a very minor downside really. It's a very capable car, and one of the best, if not the best, all-round prototypes in the game, I would say. So overall, I would highly recommend trying this car if you haven't done so. If you've already tried it, you'll probably agree with what I'm saying. Maybe not though, obviously you're entitled to your opinion. So yeah, that's about it really. So, as always, thanks for watching.